The Flow FM Sports Show, Western Eyre Football.
Oh yes, the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. My favourite time on the calendar is Mortlock Shield and the Queen's Birthday long weekend. I've got to get used to calling it that because on EP we don't call it that.
No.
It's simply known as Mortlock that weekend. Yeah. They came down from far and wide, Sojourner and even beyond in Penong, and down to Centenary Oval. Brad Bowman, I think, has spent some time in Coffin Bay, just filling up on the beautiful Coffin Bay oyster down there, if you don't mind. Brad Bowman, how are you, mate? Are you there?
Yeah, he's with us. How are you, Brad?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, I tell you, mate, Coffin Bay oysters. On the Saturday, did you feed yourself up and did you get to the games, or was it just an aberration that you went down there for the oysters?
No, I certainly went and had a look at the football, and it was a very good day to watch football. A little bit cold by the end, but great day. Good
stuff. All right, that means Sunday was oyster day. Brad, let's talk about Mortlock Saturday because Far West gave a very good account of itself. Western Eyre, I'll try and get the name right. Whenever I'm accounting Mortlock Shield, the old green machine, love that Far West uniform. But Western Eyre these days, you started out against Lincoln Districts and had a good win, Brad.
Yeah, it started a little bit slow, but by the end got the points, and Jared Trubridge was the star, kicking 4 goals. Jake Warmington with a goal and Mitchell Gunn with a goal. And best players were Cam Montgomery, Thomas Clayton, Jake Warmington and Jared Trubridge.
So right on the money there. Win first game up. Yes, Flowman?
Oh, I'll tell you what. After that, confidence was high. And if you look at the next two results, it was what might have been for Western Eyre. Went down by 5 points to Eastern Eyre, Brad.
Yeah, another game that they started slow and came home really strong, but just couldn't quite get the points, losing by 29-24. Best players for Western Eyre were Jake Warmington, Dale Shippard, Thomas Clayton and Mitchell Gunn, with Dom Denton with 2 goals and Jared Trubridge with 1 goal.
And if that didn't just rip the heart out of things, the next game absolutely did for Western Eyre. Obviously, the break then Sunday saw the Nord Cup boys run around, and we'll get to their results in a moment. But first game back against a team which had won both games, including a game against Great Flinders, Lincoln City, and you took it right up to them, did everything but win this game. Brad, Western Eyre went down by a single point.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaking result and probably turned the carnival, and we couldn't win from there. Lost by a point. Great effort, but yeah, Lincoln City were just a little bit too good. Best players were Cruz Polkinghorn, Lockie Wilkins and Mitchell Gum. Cruz kicked 2 goals, Lockie kicked 1 and Mitchell Gum single goal kicker.
Yeah, it was a difficult result. Then, of course, you run into a team which thought its carnival was over until it was watching the game before you guys ran out there. Lincoln City were taking on Lincoln Districts, and all Lincoln City had to do was win.
Did the Mark Williams.
Yep, Lincoln Districts hadn't had a win in the carnival at that point. They knocked them off, and then all of a sudden you're facing a reinvigorated Great Flinders, who now all they needed to do was beat you guys and win the carnival.
Yeah, and speaking to Darren Bennett, he said it took a bit of effort to get the guys going for this game. They had a good hit out against Great Flinders, but we all know that Great Flinders are a very hard league to beat, and they won 55-33. Best players for Western Eyre were Dale Shippard, Harley Chandler, Cameron Montgomery, Jake Warmington and Dylan Kelch. Dom Denton kicked 3 goals, Mitchell Gum and Harley Chandler single goals each.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Now, you had a few boys representing or picked in the team of the carnival, and they'll represent the EP or Western Zone or whatever you want to call it these days. For me, it's always EP.
Down to Victor Harbour.
Yes, so they'll be heading there. Tell us about that, Brad.
Yeah, and the team of the carnival was Connor Elphick in a back pocket and Harley Chandler and Mitchell Gum on the interchange. Making the EP squad was Connor Elphick, Dylan Kelch, Harley Chandler and Mitchell Gum. And the best player for Western Eyre for the carnival was Daryl Shippard.
Congratulations to all of those gentlemen. And now let's have a look at what happened on Sunday. The under-15s used to be the Port Adelaide Magpies Cup. These days it's a Nord Zone, so it's the Nord Cup. And Western Eyre came up against a couple of pretty good sides. You went down to Lincoln City in your first game, 39-23. Tell us about that.
Yeah, best players for Western Eyre were Jay Polkinghorn, Jonty Thompson, Kobe Nichols, Jacob Stott, Mason Spry and Jet Shannon, with single goal kickers Jay Polkinghorn, Monty Nichols and Jacob Stott.
And then you ran in your second game. You ran into the grand finalists, Lincoln Districts, who are one of the very, very good sides going around in this competition, and they beat you 71-15.
Yeah, no match for Lincoln Districts, who were runners-up on the day, very slick side. Best players for Western Eyre were Jonty Thompson, Jay Polkinghorn, Mason Fry and Harry Dunn, and goal kickers were Jay Polkinghorn and Jonty Thompson.
All right, who are the kids that have made the grade in this particular carnival?
Into the EP Nord Cup squad is Jay Polkinghorn, Jonty Thompson and Mason Fry, and Jay Polkinghorn was named the best player for Western Eyre over the 2 games for the carnival.
All right, congratulations to everyone from Western Eyre. It's always a big effort to have people from Ceduna and Penong and surrounds coming down to play in this carnival. They love it. Let's get back to club matches now, back this weekend. All right, let's have a look at who's playing who, Flowman.
Oh, what about this? So we have got another one of the matches of the season. Last time these two sides met, they played up at Penong, and it was a great win by the West Coast Hawks over Western United. Is it payback time? We're going to find that out, Brad Bowman.
Yeah, down at Streaky Bay, it's going to be a really good contest. I've heard they've had quite a bit of rain down that way, more than us, so it's going to be quite a wet field. But the Hawks are going to have 7 players coming in that didn't play when they lost their first game back in round 8. So they've got Mark Dolling, Nick Schumann, Aidan Whitford, Corey Cabot, Kirk Montgomery coming back, and Lockie McGuinness is back from Adelaide and back in for his first game.
Oh boy.
Lockie McGuinness too.
Can play. What about Westies? They got a few coming back?
The only one that I've seen, and he'll be a big in, but he's back from the weekend from Nord, is male medalist from 2019, Jesse Chandler. So he'll be a handy inclusion in that side.
Dolling and Chandler
Very
in the
handy,
middle,
yeah.
going at it. This is going to be an absolute cracker at Streaky. I tell you what, big crowd too. They're going to come out in their droves. Do you tip?
I'm going to tip the West Coast Hawks by 4 goals. Also, got to congratulate his 300th A-grade game tomorrow.
All right, who we got there?
Yeah, we just dropped out then. Who was that?
Derek Freeman from the West Coast Hawks, his 300th A-grade game. So he's been a former club captain, Mortlock player, and 8-time premiership.
Yeah, Rihanna said not to say anything to us.
I should have asked her about that.
Yeah, she said keep it a secret, but you've just blown the lid on it. Derek Freeman, he's been almost around as long as Noah was in the Ark. And with that rain down that way, they're probably getting in the Ark. But been raining a lot. Cats and dogs, as they say, when it's an AFL match between the two. Canberra take on Wirrallah. This one at the Far West Aboriginal Sporting Complex. This is actually going to be a good game. Wirrallah, I think, have got the opportunity, but I think Canberra at home should start favourite.
Yeah, definitely. Canberra have got a pretty settled side. Only really one change from their last game. Wilfred Edwards comes in. Lawrence Benbolt is injured. Also a bit of Canberra news. Stephen Benbolt has cleared back to them this week. Not playing, but he's going to be a very handy inclusion once he gets himself going. Wirrallah, they've got a huge amount of ins and outs this week. So in is Lockie Crabb, Craig Johnson, Kieran Patterson, Stephen Mudge, Sam Sutton and Aidan Laurie, who will make his debut tomorrow. It's going to be the first game that Tate and Craig Johnson, father-son in the A-grade for Wirrallah.
Yep.
And out, they've got Mitchell Gum, Mackenzie Best, Bradley Pittaway, Vinnie Kellett, Cale Evans, Matt Kelch, William Mayhew and Sam Pitkin. So they're going to be a fairly unsettled side from what drew with Blues a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, Canberra here by 4 goals.
I agree.
By a bit more, I think, unfortunately. But good on Johnson there. He has kicked 1 million goals in the twos for Wirrallah over the last, I reckon, 15 years. So he back into the seniors with his sons. Great stuff.
All right, we're going to talk about the Blues and Thevenard for a moment. And look, just before we do, there was a fairly lengthy suspension handed out, I believe, to one of the Thevenard boys recently. Brad, do you know anything about that?
Oh, yeah, I know there was a striking charge, and, yeah, he's going to sit on the sidelines for a number of weeks now.
Was that an A-grade boy or...?
Yeah, in the A-grade.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so a 6-weeker or something along those lines. So obviously a fairly serious incident. We'll come back to that at the end of this preview. But Blues taking on Thevenard. Who do you like, Brad?
Oh, I like Blues here. I've got Jackson Urisekic back this week, Rowan Lambeth, Brendan Cloden and Kim Teely coming to their team. Don't know a lot about Thevenard, but unfortunately they've lost Jared Trubridge. He had his hamstring down at Mortlock and didn't play in games 3 and 4, so can't imagine him taking the field this week. But Blues probably a little bit too much through the midfield and their key forwards, so probably 5 goals.
Yeah, I think losing Jared and obviously the lad through suspension for what's basically the best of the mine around. You think you've got to go with the Blues here, don't you?
Blues by plenty. And congratulations to Darren Bennett. I saw some photos of the great man standing on the sidelines coaching. And
Champion.
I tell you, Benno, who loves to sell a couple of electrical appliances or two, he'd be good to get right back into some full-on coaching at the Blues because he's just such a gem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I spoke to him. I saw him the other night, and he was really proud of the boys and really happy. He said probably finishing at the foot of the table for Mortlock. Appreciation for their efforts.
No, I would agree with that. It didn't. Now, this is a question with notice for next week, Brad. I don't expect you to have these stats handy, but I've had it suggested to me through the week from a source that there is a bit of an issue in Western Eyre football at the moment with the number of cards handed out by umpires. I don't know. I'm not there. From what I'm told, there's been 30 yellow or red cards handed out in Western Eyre football so far this season, and the other 3 competitions combined on Eyre Peninsula, there's only been 14. Now, I don't expect you to know those stats, but I think we should talk about this next week and get to the bottom of what's going on. What's your understanding of that, Brad?
Yeah, I imagine there has been. I've seen a few of them come through, and I know there's been a bit of stuff. I think sometimes yellow cards actually act as a good thing and they settle things down before they get too serious. But again, the players probably before they not those cards. So yeah, I'll have that investigation and get back to you next week.
Yeah, good, mate. That's good. We'll see if we can get you a better line next week too. But
yeah,
you enjoy the weekend's footy, mate. It's great to have it back. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the line's been horrible tonight.
Good on you, Brad.